Welcome. I'm gonna make a little tutorial for Asteroid Zoo. My English is not perfect. I'm from Holland, but I thought I'd make a little tutorial because there are a lot of questions how to use this all. Well, what you see now is the default screen when you start Asteroid Zoo. You see here Invert, Reset, View, Flicker View, 4-up View, Help, Tutorial and Guide. These two, Tutorial and Guide, use it when you're in doubt, and the tutorial can have some clarifications. I will show you the way I use it. Everybody looks at it at a different way. You're classifying it a different way, and I think it's for everybody. It's different how to use it. But for me, this is the best way to view, and I discover asteroids that are in this view not visible. So to start, I always use the Invert tool. Now you see a negative view, and actually it's way better to view faint objects because it's way more obvious. What I always do is I use the Invert tool and I first start to cycle. You get a color cycling image, and this set it's going to cycle through the 4 images now, and this one is not showing anything special. Later I will show you one where it's visible, at least if I find an asteroid. Okay, next. So in this one I don't see any obvious signs of an asteroid, so I stop the cycle. Well, there's a play button here, but when you play it, it just goes very slowly through all the frames. And any movement is, well, visible but not very good. It's just like with a movie, when you show very slowly all the frames per second, then it's not fluid. So what I do, I never use play. I just click on the slider and move it at different speeds, left to right. Now, when there's an asteroid, a faint one, with this fast movement, it's very clearly visible when it moves, and it will not be visible when you use the play, or it will be visible but very hard to detect. Well, when you're finished, this can happen. This is the screen I showed last, and as you can see here, according to the system, there's a known object there, 118775 2000 RR37. So I missed it. It happens, and it happens, well, rather a lot. As you can see, in this green circle there's the known object, but it's faint, or the movement is very small, too small to see it in these kind of sets. Don't be upset by it. It's happening a lot, and it's only frustrating when you see something like this very bright and you missed it totally, and now it's showing like wolf going here. Then it's frustrating. These little things that are almost not visible, well, it happens. Okay, well, this one, it's a bit of grainy. It has a lot of noise in it. This one isn't that bad. There are way worse examples, but these kind of sets are making the use of color cycle a little bit more difficult, because when you do the cycle, there's way more movement, at least it looks like movement, than there is with a more clear set. Also, this one is it's a good example for artifacts, like here you see a flashing point, and it's just a point, it's not a little worm like I call it. And the same, this one not, but this one, and it's an artifact. Here also, this is, I will show you later, this is a kind of classic movement, a kind of triangle shape. You see 1, 2, 3, and here above also 4. And if you don't notice this one, this looks like it's a kind of movement, but it's not. I will show you. Stop the cycle. Okay, first here there's an artifact. We mark it. Done. And now we go to the triangle. Okay, I will start with frame 1. Here, I will mark it. Frame 2. And I've lost where it went. Oh, now it's up there. Artifact. Done. Frame 3. It's here. And then frame 4. It's there. If I now play it, forget this one, focus on here, you will see the kind of triangular shape I was talking about. And this happens a lot with artifacts, blurry ones like this one, but also with the very sharp artifacts. And it's always the same. So frame 1, it's going to be, well, somewhere it's going to start somewhere. So in this case, it starts here. Frame 2, it goes up. Frame 3, it goes on this line to the right. And frame 4 to the left. And that kind of movement is, well, it happens a lot. And I'm going to, and actually here it is also, I see now, frame 1 here, frame 2, it jumps up, frame 3, it jumps down to here, and frame 4, it jumps down to the left. And you see that they all follow the same pattern. Starting position up, right from the starting position, left from the starting position. And it's a well-known pattern and it can be confusing. And now checking for asteroids. Actually, I should have done that the other way around. First checking for asteroids and then the marking of artifacts. And this one has no asteroid, at least not that I can see. So nothing. So forget that past. So finish. Artifacts. Next subject. So here again, another kind of artifact. But first I'm going to use, like normal, the cycle, the color cycle, and checking. You can check for every dot, but you can also check for regions. I always, in my mind, I divide the whole set just in 9 pieces, 9 quadrants, or however you call them, and I check it. And no, asteroid. Okay, stop cycle. But here you see a white blob. Next frame, also a white blob. Next frame. Next frame. These are very, very common. I don't know what is causing the artifacts, but they are artifacts. So I mark them, and I hope the marking of the artifacts will become easier, because now it's a lot of work, but they're looking into it, they said. Okay. So that's the artifact, and again the triangular shape in it. So start, up, right, left. It's always the same. And I finished this one. Here another example that in the beginning can be confusing when you use color cycle, and you see that it's all moving. But again, if there's really an asteroid, and I have to show you one yet, because so far I had no asteroid to show you the color cycle. But it can be confusing sometimes. So I stop it, and again the movement. I think this is the best part, of the most important part to discover anything, especially when it's faint. Again, the difference between play, you see that it goes slowly, but when clicking and holding the slider and moving it in various speeds to the left and right, it becomes way more clearer and fluid. And this one has no obvious asteroid or an asteroid at all. Okay, a very grainy one, and this one is good to show what happens when you do the color cycling. You see all kinds of things happening. Here is some movement, here is some movement, there's movement everywhere. So like I said, for these kind of grainy sets, using the color cycle is great for bright objects, but the fainter ones, it's almost impossible to see. So let's take, for example, this here. It looks like movement here, but if it was a, I will use this one. If it was an asteroid, this movement here would have been regular. It would have been like that or like that. But this one is going, well, moving around. So it's an artifact or something else, but it's not an asteroid or a planetary body. And using the stop. And especially in this grainy pictures, the slider movement is working the best. And it's even working better when you, oh, I see an asteroid. Ha! It's even working better when you squint with your eyes. So close your eyes a bit, so looking through your eyelids, and I see movement that I missed with the cycling. Let me see. Yeah, well, this one was. It shows a bit how hard it can be. Here you see color movement here, but this one has a little bit of more color movement. And the first time I didn't see it, but when doing this, I focus on this part. When I move it, you see there is movement in comparisons to the other stars or bodies. When you use the play, it's way less obvious. So I'm gonna mark an asteroid now, or at least I think it's an asteroid. I click this one. Oh, where was it? Oh yeah, that one. I mark it. Next frame. I mark it. Next frame. It doesn't look this one that is moved, but it did. Next frame. And done. Now when you do movement again, you will see the yellow cross also moving a little bit. And also it looks like, you know, it looks like this one is moving also when you use this. But it's a totally kind of different movement than this one. And every single dot is moving a little bit the same way. Okay, I'm gonna call this finished. And here it shows that the asteroid that I did mark is already known asteroid 13363 1989 98 UR16. Well, I'm not. Okay, next subject. Here's something that can happen also when you use the cycle and you see a kind of, well, old film effect, like it's been shot in the 1920s and 1930s. That's because there are frames missing. In this case, there's one frame missing. There's no picture in frame 4. Each frame is in a kind of different color, so that's why you see this flickering effect. But still, it's possible to see an asteroid. It's a little bit harder, especially with the color view. But again, when using the slider this way, you just stop before you go to 4, and then it moves. You can also use the arrows on your keyboard. Left arrow, right, left, right, left, and so on. But that's a personal taste, I guess. You can also use the number keys on your keyboard. But I tried this, and for me, the movement with the mouse works better. So I'm checking now for asteroids. Oh, one frame too far, and I have doubts. The movement is a little bit different. There's a point here. And oh, I didn't know that. That's new for me. The system is made so that he's skipping the the blank one. I didn't know that. This one. This point somehow has less movement than the others. The others are going from left to right, and this one is not. But I think it is. It's just maybe hiding behind some grain or noise of the image. I'm gonna set nothing. Well, at least it was not a known asteroid, because otherwise it would have shown. Okay, sometimes it's very difficult to discover something like a set of this. It's already a bit difficult to see because I will use the invert tool. It's just all faint, and mostly because there's some bright objects here. So just like a normal camera, when there's too much light, the chances are that it's going to be overexposed. So the camera is set that way that the overexposed light is getting dimmed, but because of that also the rest of the picture is dimmed. And I believe it's called dimmed in English. Okay, but now this one, I do the cycle. Whee, trippy! It's like a, I don't know, kind of old school disco ball. Again, here, there are frames missing. I suspect there are only 2 frames. Oh, there are 3 frames. And it's difficult to view, especially now. Well, in the cycle, there's nothing to see. Well, maybe only the obvious one. And again, here, either use the slider, but you see it's a difficult one. For these ones, maybe if they're bright like this, then movement is clear, and otherwise I'm going to set this for nothing. Okay, even more trippy. Play cycle. Whoa. In this one you really cannot see anything because it's only 1 frame. And this happens, it's just 1 frame, and you cannot see anything in it, obviously, so nothing. And don't be surprised if you do say nothing now, and you say finish, that the system is going to say, well, there's a known asteroid here. Again, the computer knows there's an asteroid, but it doesn't know that the whole set only has one image in it. And another example of something weird. I played cycle, and again it's kind of a trippy effect. In this set, in these kinds of sets, you can see something. Again, if it jumps, you will see it, but only the more obvious ones. And here you see something a little bit flashing. Well, we check it out what it is, and you can't see it. Well, if you move very fast, and then maybe, but it's if you do this too much, and you're gonna walk on the street, people will think that you've been using drugs because your eyes are moving and acting very weirdly. I did mention the artifacts that are moving in a kind of triangle way, but there are also, of course, artifacts that are isolated in just one frame. This one is an example, and you will see a kind of flashing going on here. But this one is really flashing. So let's see what happens there. It was around in this area. Oh, sorry, this area. And there it is. I'm going to mark it in artifact. And I'm going to also mark the little one here. Okay. And I also did see some movement here with the cycling. Here. And that's just the grain interacting with the picture, because there's no movement in either direction, no linear movement, because that's the key of asteroid hunting, that there is a linear, how do you say, yeah, linear movement. Here's an example of a grainy or noisy image set. When you do the cycle, it looks like it has an asteroid in it moving, like here. I'm going to stop it, the cycling. I'm going to do this, and you see again here it's just one artifact. It's not showing in any of the other three, it's just in the first image set. So it's an artifact. Mark it and get rid of it. And always special when you get a set that you're the first one to see. Guess what? You're the first to see the set of images. So you can be the one to discover a new or unknown asteroid in an image set. Sadly enough, it's a noisy, grainy one, so it's going to be more difficult to see. So let's see if I can see an asteroid on this one. Well, you see here's something move. Here's some. Now it's not moving. It's changing in color, but this is also, everything is changing in color. So it's very hard to see any asteroid in this view. Only the most obvious ones. So using the cycle, moving fast forward, and because I'm the first one to see it, I want to be extra careful. Did I see one? Well, I see one that I think is one, and I'm gonna mark it. It's not obvious, I'm not sure, but better safe than sorry also in this. And there's no good or wrong with these kind of markings. I would set it on play, and I see this black spot here. So here, and when I move fast forward, it seems to be moving from left to right. But before I mark it, I'm going to look for any other small parts that seem to have the same movement, because if there are a lot of the same, then I know it's from the image sets. Well, I see some movement, but well, it's very hard to see. I know it's sometimes a bit of frustrating. I'm gonna mark it as an asteroid. I'm not sure if it is, but it doesn't matter. It's like I said, there is no wrong or right in this. They will not see it as an asteroid right away, because more than, I believe, 3 or 4 people have to mark it as an asteroid, and in a few years or months, I don't know it, they're gonna look at the same part of the sky or a little bit behind it, and if it's there again, then maybe it's an asteroid, a real one. So you see what I've been marked, the yellow cross, it is moving. So maybe I did found a new asteroid or an unknown one. Let's see, finish. Well, like you can see, it's a known asteroid. 2012 FQ67. But it shows that even the tiniest movements can be an asteroid if it's different than all the other stars or objects. If the movement is different, just mark it, and maybe it's one, maybe it's not. This set has an FMO in it, fast moving object. You can recognize it in the cycle view when suddenly there's a line going through it, and it's only in one frame. So in this case it's only in the 4th frame, but it can be in the 1st, 2nd or 3rd. And this can be a plane, this can be a meteorite, it can be a satellite. So it's just a fast moving object which went through this frame at the moment of exposure, and you can mark it as an artifact. And here's a good example of why I use the invert or negative view. I will first use this one, use the cycle. There's an asteroid here, and it's visible in the cycle view. I will not show it yet. Now invert. Use cycle, that doesn't matter, but I will show you where it is. It's here. You see a very faint crawling movement, while the rest of the stars and whatever they are, mostly stars, no, mostly galaxies and something. And this one is moving, crawling along. I always call it a worm that's looking like a rainbow. It's moving in a linear direction. So I stop the cycle. First I will use this. Well, this one is it. And now you know it, and I use this. You can see it move there. But for me, using the invert tool, this one, it's this one, it shows way more clearer. And this is just, well, it's one, so I'm gonna mark it as an asteroid. Don't worry if it's a little bit off, so not in the center. So And the last, well, it's not really visible here, but I think, oh, this one is it, done. And now you can see the movement really good because of the yellow cross. And always check if there's anything more in the picture, because there can be 2 or 3 asteroids in it. For now I had one set with 3 in it, and I don't see anything else. Click finish and let's see if it's a known one. It's not a known one, so it's either not in the database, it's known but not in the database, or it's a really known one and unknown one and it's not in the database. For now, nothing's going to happen. The system at Asteroid Zoo is not going berserk now because, whoa, I did find a new one. Most likely this asteroid will be viewed and discovered also by other people, let's say 10, and that's a sign, okay, there really is something there. In the next few years, the same part of the sky, or they're going to extrapolate the trajectory, some English words, and they're going to check if it's visible also there. And if it is, then they know, okay, it's an asteroid. At least that's the way it works, as I understood it. And here is a set that has everything in it except an asteroid or asteroids. In this one you see, I don't know the real English word, but I call them telephone wires. They're here. It's just like an old-fashioned celluloid movie where there can be lines in it, and you will see that these lines are all in all frames. Also there's a FMO, fast-moving object, here, and also there are lots of artifacts, all the white dots, or when you use normal view, the black dots are visible. And also in frame 2, all the bright stars have streaks, and when you use the cycle view, it looks like some movement, but it's not, it's just the streak in frame 2. So a lot of things going on, but no asteroid. On Asteroid Zoo, in the discuss section, I did see some mentions of people who were asking, did I discover or did I see a planet around a star or before a star, like here? And no, it's not a planet, it's another artifact, probably, I think, caused by overexposure. The resolution of these images is just way too low to see anything around a star. Hubble cannot even see it. All the specialized telescopes are using the software, for example, to see if a planet is moving in front of a star, then the light emission of the star is dropped very slightly because the planet is before it, but you can not see it with the naked eye. Besides that, the light of the star would totally overflow the whole planet. So this is not a planet, it's just another artifact. Always a bit frustrating when you get a new set of images which no one has seen before, and it's like this. And when you do the color cycle, it's viewable, but you're getting crazy after looking at it for 20 seconds. And when using this view, well, it is a little bit visible, but only if there's a very bright asteroid moving in a big distance, then you can see it. So I'm gonna say this, well, nothing. And what happens is that you get these kind of images. No one's seen it before. You do finish. Well, in this case it's not. And it says, you have missed a known asteroid. And you're like, well, how the hell am I going to see that in those kind of sets? Well, most of the time you're not going to see it. Well, this is going to be the end of this tutorial. I've went through a lot of sets to get an example of which can be shown in cycle and in the slider option, and I finally found one that's obvious, and that's the way well, a 100% asteroid is showing. I first do the cycle view, and here on the left you see the very clear worm-like thing moving in a linear way with rainbow colors. So that's what you're looking for. That's, well, you know for sure, okay, that's it. To check it double, you can use play, but I used the slider, and you see it very clear movement. I can use the play, and you can see it jumping, but when you use it very fast, you can see it especially good. Well, before I'm going to mark it, I'm going to check if there's any other asteroid in this one. By the looks of it, it's not. So I'm going to mark this asteroid, and while I'm doing that, I want to say thank you for looking and listening to this. It's the first time I ever did a video or a tutorial and recorded my voice in it, and so also the first time I'm doing it in English. I hope many people find asteroids on asteroidzoo.org. Don't give up. It's sometimes a bit frustrating to mark all these things, but it can be useful in the future. It might be an asteroid that, I don't know, gets dangerous in the future when it maybe is going towards the Earth or whatever. So again, thank you for listening and viewing my little tutorial, and I hope it helps you a little bit. So goodbye from me from Holland. And finish. Oh, and it's a known asteroid, but that was suspected. It's a big one. Goodbye.